friends. I'm Amy Morgan, the feature writer for the Marriage Initiative, and I am delighted today to introduce you to Dr. Leslie Griffin. She and her husband, Lorenzo, founded Marriage Champs to help couples work together as a team to enrich their marriages. She's written a high five assessment to help couples determine the fitness of their marriage, which can lead them to join the Winner's Circle by Marriage Champs, an exclusive membership community for proactive, faith-driven couples who want to continue to level up. Leslie's also written a workbook, Legendary Love, a champion's guide to winning at marriage, first quarter, and will release The Making of a Marriage Champ, how faith, failure, and fantasy football is helping Christian couples succeed at love in 2025. Leslie earned her doctorate in family studies from Texas Women's University in Fort Worth. Leslie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, tell us how you got into this field. I love this story about fantasy football.
I know. Who would have thought, right?
I know.
Well, I started doing this work actually back in probably 2007. I was working at the Parenting Center and started teaching some premarital education classes. Really enjoyed that. And then I got connected to a local church where I started working with couples there. And I did that for several years. And then, like marriages do, my marriage hit a rough patch. And we were going through a really challenging stage. Just wasn't feeling fun anymore. Wasn't feeling good about it. My husband and I both were kind of like, this is not going, so well. And he happened to be a part of a fantasy football league that year. And he was super excited about it. Always excited every year for fantasy football. Yeah. And I remember one Sunday, he kind of just was sitting on the couch, phone in one hand, computer open. Tom Brady was his quarterback that year. He was yelling at Tom Brady and, all this stuff and just
with the chat and with the computer. Yes.
Oh man, it just energy, full of energy and just jumping up and just really excited about it. And I remember thinking, if I could just dump an ounce of that passion back into our marriage, we'd be doing awesome.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it kind of dawned on me, wait a minute, maybe that's it. Maybe this is how you're going to connect with him. So it really was the Lord just revealing to me a way to connect to my husband in a way that was relevant to him and that resonated.
Yeah, I have two adult sons we've always been kind of a football family, but I have two adult sons. And once fantasy came along, it changed the whole thing. I used to love to, put on the outfit and have the snacks that were the theme. Now all of a sudden we have like split screen into, I don't know how many different games. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what happened to my game? Yeah, oh, well, Mom, that's on a get commercial. So now we're here. And I'm like, but men can get really excited.
Oh man.
Sports, right? That is
yes.
Really feel comfortable bonding and talking and expressing themselves.
Absolutely. Without reservation. I mean, you get all the emotion. So
yeah. And you realize that and you're like, how can I harness that and
Correct.
put that into the relationship arena?
Correct. That was the start of it. That was when the Lord started to download to me. This is how you're going to utilize. This is how you're going to connect. And so just really starting to use those sports metaphors. I remember asking him, how is it so easy for you to work on a team with other people? Because he had played football all of his life. And I said, but it's not as easy for you to work with me anymore. And he was like, oh, it's different. No, it's not different. It's the same. He kept saying, no, it's different. And I'm like, no, I'm going to show you. So I started to just say, how can I be a better teammate? How can I help you? How can I assist? All the sports terminologies and things. And it was kind of like, okay, at first, but then it started to kind of like work. And then I started utilizing it with the couples that I was working with when I was counseling at the time. And so working with couples through counseling, and I was really able to connect with men that really kind of resonated with them when I would make these sports analogies between what they were doing. One example, for instance, I remember a couple I had, the wife was really concerned that she wanted her husband to really kind of show a little bit more affection and all of these things. And the husband was saying, where she's pretty disrespectful to me. It's really hard for me to show her this love when she's being disrespectful to me in her actions or maybe even her words. And so she had done something that really injured him. And so we kind of talked about how your wife is expecting you to play hurt, but you're not hurt, you're injured. So there's a real difference between playing hurt and trying to play injured. It's nearly impossible to play injured. So anyway, so that kind of resonated with him, and he was like, man, that makes so much sense. And so anyway, that's kind of how Marriage Champs evolved.
Yeah, and I love it. And when you go on your website, your Marriage Champs website, it reads in a way that I mean, I liked it, but being a sports person myself, but it also reads in a way that men will like it. It's not
Yeah.
pink and flowery. It's not going to put them off. They're going to be, engaged, and front and center. There's a high five assessment.
Yes.
And again, high five, but tell us, what is that, and why is that prominently displayed there? Because that's a good entry point for their way to interact with Marriage Champs.
Absolutely. So a part of our coaching framework, so I shifted over time. I shifted from counseling to coaching because what I realized is that most couples just need skills. Yeah. And so what happened was we put together a framework to help couples kind of narrow their focus, because when you talk about marriage and relationships, the relationships are very complex. And so when something's going wrong, you don't know necessarily where to start or what you should do. And so really trying to narrow the focus for couples to 5 areas: spiritual growth, passion, intimacy, teamwork, and commitment are what we call the high 5. And so the assessment has 10 statements in each of those areas. And at the end of that assessment, it'll give you a cumulative score, and it will let you know where you scored the highest, where you scored the lowest, and everything in between. And so ideally, what you will realize is that the area where you score the lowest, that's the area where you probably need much of your focus. And for Christian couples in particular, spiritual growth is an extremely important part and foundational to a strong Christ-centered marriage. And couples that are not doing as well, that are kind of struggling, limping along, usually 9 times out of 10, they score very low on spiritual growth. So we really try to shore up that area so that all the other areas will then be impacted.
Well, and you recommend that people, again, it's a super easy assessment to take.
It is.
Right there on the computer, and then a PDF of your results. It's all done for you. It comes right to your email. You actually suggest that couples take it separately, and
absolutely
then their scores.
That's right. We want them to take it separately and then compare, because sometimes you get influenced, when you ask a question, you're looking at your spouse like, what do you think? What do you think? So I like them to take it separately first and then come together and look at their score to see if they're in tune, if they're on the same page. And it's really a good conversation starter in terms of, why did you score that this way? Or how did you score that this way? Or what did what were you thinking for this? And it starts dialogue amongst couples that maybe they had not thought about before.
Yeah. And then if they're going to come for coaching with you guys, or with another, with another marriage mentor or marriage champion, they've got something to start with.
Absolutely. Right. They have a direction. It's kind of hard to chart a path forward if you don't know where you currently are. Kind of like driving in a car, you have to know where you are to get to where you're going.
Yeah, that's always the hardest part, isn't it? I find it when I start putting it in the GPS, and like maybe you're in a parking garage or a parking, and it's the getting out of the parking area to make you turn right, turn right, and then you're trying to.
It's confused. It doesn't know where you are.
Yeah,
it's hard to get to where you're going if you don't know where you are.
Yeah, so that can really help. Well, tell me about the Winner's Circle. I love how you call it a lifestyle brand. What is that?
Yes. So Marriage Champs in general is really a lifestyle brand. Over the years, we're kind of like, okay, how do you describe Marriage Champs? And really, we are a lifestyle brand. This is a way that every single day, we are striving to get the most out of love, out of our marriages, out of life. We want to be all that God called us to be. And we just like having fun. We want to enjoy doing it. That's the best part, And so really it's how we live our lives every single day. And the Winner's Circle is really that exclusive community of people who get that. They're growth minded. We are faith driven. We like to have fun. We enjoy the same activities. And so it really is a group of people that get it. that understand what we all are trying to do, and they really are here to kind of cheer you on. And so in that community, we have different threads, conversations. We talk about communication. We talk about intimacy. We talk about hot topics. What's going on in the world? We kind of talk through that. We have local meetups. We do some coaching, some weekly coaching. We have groups that are led weekly. We have groups for men, groups for women only. I lead many of the coaching sessions, particularly for women. And so it just is a community that comes together to support one another and to really just lift each other up. We celebrate, there's a celebration section where we're really here to celebrate, babies and, kids' graduations and buying a new house, all the things that happen over the course of a marital relationship. We're really here to cheer each other on.
So there's more than one component, right? So if a couple would be in the Dallas, DFW Metroplex, there are some actual physical components of this
Absolutely.
plan. You have a date night concierge that I want you to talk about.
Yes.
For those of our marriage champions that are all across the nation,
Mhm.
talk about what's there for them when they
Mhm.
can't come be with you physically.
Well, ideally, we hope that they will encourage others to get involved in their local area so that they can have local meetups and do the things that we do here in the Metroplex. But all of our, not all, many of our events are virtual events. So when we bring people in, guests to kind of talk through, so we have something coming up in July on infertility, navigating infertility. That's going to be a virtual event. So many of the events that we have are virtual events. You just log on into the platform and we're there to kind of talk through. The only thing someone in another state would not necessarily be able to attend is a local meetup if they don't have many people in their area.
Yeah.
But many of our things are virtual. And we have a date night concierge service. We have a customized program for people that are part of our community called Clutch Dater, which helps specifically gentlemen who struggle with coming up with romantic ideas for date nights. I know my husband, I used to be like, honey, I don't want to go to a sporting event and I don't want to go to the movies. So what can we do? And so just helping men in particular, but ladies as well. It will ask a series of questions about, where you're located, how far you're willing to travel, how much you want to spend. Do you want an indoor date, an outdoor date? So it'll kick out ideas for you in terms of date nights. And we can go a step further and you can either execute it yourself or we can help execute it. So I'm really excited about that. That's a new product that we are offering for the people that are part
Tell
of
me
the
when
women's
you
circle.
say help execute, what does that mean?
So that means if you say, hey, oh, these are great. We would like to do this one. We can make reservations for you. We can buy flowers for you. We will help you figure out how to make it just go another step to make it really personalized and really special for your date night.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love that.
Mhm.
And then, so you were mentioning too, so I know there's like a balance thing, and then there's the intimacy into incubator. Tell
Mhm.
me a little bit more. What else would they find there, especially for our marriage teams who aren't local?
Oh, so for those people that are a part of the community, really it is just an opportunity for you to connect with other like-minded couples to engage in conversation. Again, we have special guests that are specifically related to those areas. So if intimacy is an issue, we all enjoy intimacy ideally with our mates, and sometimes we struggle with that. And so how do we do that? And how do we do that in cases where there's been a breach in the trust and you're trying to rebuild that? How do we do that? And so we have guests that come on that we interview, that kind of like we're doing now, that kind of help us talk through. We have opportunities for people to come in and ask questions. So we really rely on our expert partners as well. So we rely on other marriage champions to come in and help us in specific areas of expertise. So couples that are a part of that community get access to people that they may not otherwise be able to have access to because they just don't know where to go to find those resources.
Well, and it said on your website too, a really important point that, a couple that might need some help, or they need some coaching, or they
Mhm.
need some support, they may, if they turn to their church and right then and there, they may not be a marriage program that's, let's say it's summer, everything's on hiatus, or, they're look for a counseling appointment and the counselor or the coach is, months out.
Mhm.
If they're part of the community, they can get some spot coaching and
Absolutely.
there with you.
Absolutely. Spot coaching is one of those things that I think that's another gap that we at Marriage Champs have been working hard to fill. When it feels like there's a sense of urgency and an emergency, people need to talk to someone right now. I can't wait. This is urgent for us. And so being able to jump in on a spot coaching call to say, hey, I need a little bit of encouragement. I need some direction. I need a tool, one thing that I can do to kind of ease what I'm feeling or the tension in the home. And so, yes, people in our community have access to spot coaching. They also have access to on-demand courses. So we have a course called Avoiding Financial Fumbles. Finance is a big deal for a lot of couples. They struggle to talk through money issues. And that's one of the reasons a lot of couples end up divorced or in a crisis. And so we want to, all of the areas where we know our potential challenges or opposition to your marriage, like we like to say at Marriage Champs, your opponents. We try to create courses around that you have on-demand access. If it's 2 a.m. and you need to jump in, you can jump in because they're there for you.
Well, I noted that one of your blog titles was that recovering from a financial fumble. And I loved the example. You used the example of, Pro Bowler running back Walter Payton and how he had some struggles with fumbles.
Of course.
But then, Hall of Fame 9-time Pro Bowl later, he overcame that. And you said,
Absolutely.
every fumble is recoverable.
Absolutely. We want couples to know, we want couples to have hope, to know that no matter what you're facing, sometimes you're on a mountaintop, but a lot of times you're in the valley, and it doesn't matter what you're facing, what challenge it is, that you can overcome anything. There's nothing that you cannot overcome. Nothing.
Well, and too, you brought up the mountaintop, but one of the other things that some of your language says is, don't get complacent. We've all watched that game where your team has a big lead, and then all of a sudden they take their foot off the gas, and that lead starts dwindling away, and the win that you thought you were going to have is not. You're hoping you can eke it out, and I don't want to eke out our marriages, and so you're
right
to press on, and that one of those things through building their faith, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, you said it best. I mean, we've all seen that game where you're like, oh, this is a shoe-in. We're winning by 20 points. Oh, we can just, no, you have to stay diligent. You have to, because anytime you give the enemy an opportunity, he will he will do everything that he can. He kind of mounts this comeback, and before you know it, you're like, what happened? We were doing so well. We were up 20 points. It's because you become lax. You relax and you take your foot off the gas. And we all know what happens when you do that. And so having a solid faith for the Christian marriage, your faith is your anchor. It's the thing, it's your North Star. So when things seem a little off, you can always point to that North Star to get you back, right back to where you need to be.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that you were talking about too, in enlisting some more like sports couples and champs for your podcast to do some, ways that they have, those who are strong in their faith kind of can help be examples of how they have had faith be their North Star.
Yes, absolutely. I think that there is such value for Christian athletes to kind of talk about their faith journey and their sports journey, and how those skills that they utilize in their sport, how that transfers into their marriage and how they work with their family and their spouse. And so I'm just really excited about the opportunity to add that component via podcast, to be able to really hear from people who are able to make that connection. So yes, that's one thing we're looking forward to in 2025.
Yeah, I love that. I always love hearing those kind of stories. Now, too, you have a book. He says, some people love being part of the community and love it, doing that. And some people, kind of prefer to do things, on their own. So they have that workbook, The Legendary Love Champion's Guide to Winning at Marriage. Let's talk about that.
That is kind of an 8-week DIY, a do-it-yourself kind of guide to help couples kind of formulate that team mindset how to get either start off that way or try to regain the perspective that maybe they once had, but think life happens, things happen, and maybe you get off track. And so Legendary Love is designed for the do-it-yourself couple who says, you know what, we don't want to be a part of a community necessarily, but we do need a guide. We need a framework. We need, something that can take us step by step, week by week, that has homework in it, it doesn't take longer than maybe 30 minutes for you to be engaged with that workbook and really kind of work through those activities together to get yourself right back on track or start off on the right track. So we're excited about that workbook because it really has been helping those couples who kind of want to do things privately on their own.
Yeah. And you have a new book that's coming out, The Making
Yes.
that Faith, Failure, and Fantasy Football, helping Christian couples succeed at love. And that's kind of a memoir meets training skills.
Correct. Anybody can pick it up. So if you're a marriage champion like myself and you work with couples, or if you're a couple and you just want to read it for yourself or be able to help another couple, what I appreciate most about it and what I'm most excited about is that anyone can pick it up and glean tools from it and really start to implement some of the strategies and principles that I talk about in that book. So I'm super excited about it. And you'll get to learn a little bit more about my own personal story and how I've utilized this and how things have evolved for myself and for Lorenzo.
Oh, have you learned how to participate in fantasy football with him?
He used to ask me and I would pick football players based on I don't know as nearly as much, obviously, but I would be like, okay, let me see, who do they play for? I'm always going to pick a Packer.
Yes, absolutely.
A Green Bay Packer player I'm going to select. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, how tall is he? What's his name? What does he look like? Okay, what school did he attend? Yes. So I kind of try to, I'm not the best fantasy football. I'm much better now. Over the years, I've gotten better just of knowing, who to select and for what reasons. I've learned he's taught me the rules kind of over time, and he's actually been really good. The year before last, he won. This year, he didn't. But the year before that, he was the champion. So he knows what he's doing.
Yes. My husband has won before too, and my boys, we finally had to tell them that they could not. We can't tell them anything. They're in their 20s, but we strongly encourage them not to be on the same league because my younger is leading an insurrection.
Yes.
There's a lot of emotion in that. Well, tell me about your Marriage Honors Awards. That sounds like a really neat event.
Yes. So the Marriage Honors Award, we had our first one last January 2024. Our second one will be October 11th, 2025, here in Grand Prairie, Texas. And what we did the very first year is we wanted to honor couples who just have been pillars in their community, who other people look to, who've had really strong marriages or who have overcome obstacles in their marriage and have been really an inspiration to other people. And so last year, our first year, we honored 27 couples. Some have been married as little as 2 years. And I think we had a couple that was there 33 years they had been married. And so this year we're hoping to honor even more couples and to get some couples that have been married maybe 50 years or more. So it's just a way of honoring marriage. We don't see a lot of, I say, think ESPY awards, but for marriage. So it really is about honoring those couples that are just sticking with it, that are committed to one another, that are a great example to other people, and then just really add value to the people that are around them. So we had children. We secretly had couples, their children did these 2 to 3 minute videos where we were able to show on the screen. They were so surprised. They just were not expecting it. So not only did they get a trophy from us, an award from us, they got the benefit of hearing their children speak to them about their marriage and the example that they set. And it was just the most beautiful thing. It was the most beautiful night. It just was amazing. So I'm excited for this year. And we'll be doing the same thing. And every year we're hoping it gets bigger and bigger.
Well, I'll tell you what, that I was just, as you were talking about that, the children, and
Mhm.
for some, I would think they're adult children saying, and that's just
Absolutely.
reminds me of the Proverbs 31 woman where the children rise up and call her blessed. And just to think
Absolutely.
the legacy that can
Mhm.
be leading. And that's one thing too, when you kind of think about that legacy, that's one of the reasons that you started the Winter Circle community. You had talked to, some of the people that would struggle, like they had put their marriage on autopilot, they said,
Mhm.
and taken their foot off the gas and gotten complacent with their big lead. And you
Mhm.
said one of the reasons that the things that they thought would have been helpful
Mhm.
was being more in community.
Absolutely. Like us, like my husband and I, we kind of talked about it, and we talked about it with other couples that, man, if I had just had community, people, and even outside of their church community, their local community, just being able to connect. Because sometimes, that's a challenge even in your own local body. But, um, but just having other couples, like-minded couples to connect with,
Yes.
to do activities with, to kind of bounce ideas, because sometimes you're isolated and you think you're the only ones that are going through or that have ever gone through trials and challenges in your marriage, and that's just not true. We all have them. The Bible is clear. Paul is clear. If you get married, you have not sinned, but you will have trouble. And so we have trouble in marriage. Sometimes it's hard, but it is the most beautiful thing, and it is the most enjoyable thing, and it's just and so we heard those couples, we listened to those couples, and then we thought about our own marriage. Man, what would it have taken for us to really kind of stay focused um, and
And be
and
strong.
it's marriage champs. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things you mentioned too is, like when we watch these TV shows sometimes and a couple is given a challenge, like I think of ones where they're racing around the world and they have to look at the signs in the airport, and they have to have teamwork and they do that together. And um, my husband and I like watching those kinds of shows.
Mhm.
you know, Doing that sort of thing in real life together. I mean, there's an energy and excitement of having a date where where you'd have a challenge or a mystery to solve,
Mhm.
or maybe even like, because you do some of those in that date night concierge,
Yes.
where they can do it with a squad, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Let's talk about those because I think those are fun date ideas.
So we have what we call couple challenges. That's just you and the individual couple. And then we have squad challenges. And they can be something a little bit more serious or grounding. Like we have kind of like prayer challenges where a couple is praying for themselves or a specific person every day. Or you can do a squad challenge where you are praying for each other, kind of a
Mhm.
thing. So it could be something as simple as that, something very helpful. We have like challenges where you're assisting each other, taking over someone's job for a week or 2 or 6 weeks in your home, you and the couple, or you find ways to one way every week to help another couple on your squad. So, like, can I pick your kids up for you? Can we make you a meal? Can we? So, just finding ways. So, different challenges like that. And then we have super fun challenges that are related to like dating and romance activities. We have like fitness challenges, we have financial challenges. So like a no spend Tuesday is one example of what we do and how much money you can save up if you don't, and we have couples that kind of sneak. It's the funniest thing. It's the most hilarious thing to hear some of the stories of what people do when they are doing these challenges and how they try to work around and sneak around it and cheat a little. It's just a really fun way to keep that kind of engaging and fun, lighthearted friendliness in marriage that we sometimes lose.
Yeah, I know. I did a challenge with some girlfriends where we were in a different little town and it was a scavenger hunt. And we
Mhm.
had to find certain things, like there was a certain statue, and then we had to do some goofy things. Like we had to, and it was in real time. And so somebody was the one who did the filming, and somebody was texting
Mhm.
it on WhatsApp to the people, and they were giving and like
Yeah.
I remember there was like a star on the pavement, and we had to do a little dance at the star, and it was fun. It was a
Yeah.
really fun way to, and so I can just imagine that some of your challenges are really fun like that. So
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and then you're going to have some marriage ministry leader training coming up too, correct?
Yes. So we have been figuring out, trying to determine how to launch a training for marriage ministry leaders so that they are able to serve the couples in their local church
Yeah.
better. I know that a lot of churches rely kind of on connect groups or life groups, sometimes we call them. And those are great ways for people to be connected and to grow spiritually. But if a couple is coming, if it's marriage specific and a couple is coming and they hit a really hard season, something happens, an infidelity or death of a child, or something where they're
Yeah.
really grief stricken, or something happens and it's a major issue. A lot of our connect group leaders, they just don't feel equipped to
Yeah.
really help those couples in a real tangible way. They can offer prayer and they can offer maybe their personal experience about maybe something they have done or would maybe do, but we really want to equip them so that they feel more confident and competent to be able to help couples along their journey.
Yeah. Oh, well, that just sounds like a great resource for
Mhm.
marriage champions to be looking out for. So,
Mhm.
Leslie, it's been wonderful having you here with us. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. It's been just a joy talking to you. I just really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with you today.
Oh, absolutely. And as always, marriage champions, if you'd like to learn more about Dr. Leslie Griffin and Marriage Champs, you can find us at marriageinitiative.org or marriageresources.org.